Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths that is based on the advanced information given to us by the exam boards. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. To get from the length of a square to the area, we square the length. To work backwards, what we do is we square root, because the inverse of square is square root. So we've got 196 and we're going to square root it to find the length. So we work out the square root of 196, which is what number times itself is 196. And you should learn them from 1 to 15, so you should know all of the square numbers from 1 to 15. So you should know that the answer is 14. So the length therefore is 14. So to work out what the perimeter is going to be the distance around the square. So if I draw a square out, we know that each of these lengths are 14. So it's just going to be 14 times 4, which will be 56. I'm just going to write the question out, so we've got a little bit bigger writing to play with here. And it doesn't actually matter which method you expand these brackets with. I'm going to use Smiles and Rainbows, so we multiply the 8 by the 10x, which will make 80x. And multiply the 8 by the 4, which will make 32. Now here we've got a minus 5 on the outside, so we do minus 5 times 8x, which is minus 40x, and minus 5 times minus 4, which is actually plus 20. And a lot of students will write take away 20 there, but that is a minus 5 on the outside of the brackets there. So it's minus 5 times the minus 4 there will give you a plus 20. Then 80x take away 40x, which will give us 40x. And 32 plus 20, which would be 52. So our answer would be 40x plus 52. So it's really important, first of all, we make clear about how we convert things. So if I've got a unit in kilometers, and I want to convert it into meters, then we know we just times it by 1,000. So 2 kilometers is 2,000 meters. But if I have something in kilometers squared, and I want to convert it into meters squared, I actually times it by 1,000 squared, which is 1,000 times 1,000. Okay, so I'm actually times it by not 1,000, but 1,000 squared. So that's another 3 zeros. You can see here that that's 1,000,000, so we times it by 1,000,000. So 13 kilometers squared is going to be the 13, and then it's going to be times by 1,000,000. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be 13 million. Now, it says here the farmer must pay 1 pence tax for every metre squared. So this is going to be 13 million metres squared. And so that's going to cost him or her 13 million pence. But the answer is going to be in pounds, so we just need to get rid of 2 of the zeros at the end. So it's going to be 13, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be £130,000. So angles and a point add up to 360. And we are given the values of the angles, but in terms of r. So we know that r plus 9r plus 20 will equal 360. So we've got an equation here we can solve. So first of all, let's add the r's together. And so that will be 10r plus 20 equals 360. Then we're going to subtract the 20 from both sides. So we have 10r equals 340, and then we're going to divide by 10 both sides. So we have r equals 34. So our answer is 34. So the symbol here basically means and the way I remember it is if you draw that symbol and just put a line through it, you can make the word and. So we're looking at the probability of getting something that is in A and C. So the only ones that are in A and C are this 8 and this 9 here. So we're going to just add the 8 and the 9 together, which give us 17. Now we need to then work out how many numbers there are in total, so that's all of them. So 4 plus 8 plus 9 plus 5 plus 8 plus 3 plus 11 plus 6. So we need the total, which is 54. And then we get the 17, and we put that over the amount in total, so over 54. The first thing that we can actually work out for this Venn diagram is this part here. So it says 12 had a cat but not a dog. So the cat but not a dog is showed with this A here. So if 12 had a cat but not a dog, and in total 22 had a cat, we're going to do 22 take away 12, which is 10. So 10 had a cat and a dog. If 16 had a dog and 10 also had a cat, that means that 6 had a dog. Let's make sure we fill these in. And if overall there were 31 people and there were 12 who just had a cat, 10 who had a cat and a dog, and 6 who had a dog, that leaves 3 left over. To find the pressure, we need the area and the force. And we're given the force in the question, and so all we need to do is find out what the area is, which will be the 7 times the 9, which will be 63 centimeters squared. And the force is given to us in the question, so what we can do is write down the pressure formula, which says that pressure equals the force divided by the area. Force is given to us as 2268. The area we've calculated is 63. Divide the 2 and you get 36. So it's going to be 36 newtons per centimetre squared. So for this question, what we need to do is factorise 4t plus 6. Now factorise means put it into brackets. So if I try, what I can do is I can actually put a 1 on the outside here. So 1 times 4t plus 6 is 4t plus 6, but the question clearly states that it is higher than 1. So we need to find another number that's higher than 1 to factorise this with. So if we look at 4t and 6, well, they're both in the 2 times table. So I can put a 2 on the outside here. 2 times 2t is 4t, and 2 times 3 is 6. So what we can do is we can just check that out with smiles and rainbows. Put my times down there to remind me to times it. So 2 times 2t is 4t, 2 times 3 is 6. So that works because that is the same as this in the question. So we know that 2 times 2t plus 3 works. In fact, it's the only one that works with it being an integer. So we therefore know that the known side, because it says it's a known number, is 2. And the other side will be 2t plus 3. And then when you multiply them together, you get the area of 4t plus 6. So our answer, because it says the length is the known number, so that's the length, then we're finding the width, which is this one here. So it's 2t plus 3. So we're going to first of all convert the 11 litres into millilitres. So we're going to do 11 times 1,000, which would be 11,000. Okay, so we're going to just draw a line, like a number line. And we're going to have the 11,000 in the middle. Now, what would be the next one down if we're looking at to the nearest 10 mil? So we're going to add a 10 mil on, which will be 11,010. And we're going to take the 10 mil away. So 11,000 take away 10 mil would be 10, what is it, 990. Now when we're looking at limits, with the upper and lower part of it, we are looking at halfway points. So halfway here and halfway here. So this halfway point will be 10,995, and the next one will be 11,005, and that's the halfway points. And so that is going to be our upper and lower bound. And we just need to say that V can be anything above the 10,995 and including that, and it can be anything below 11,005, but it can't include that, because if it did, if it was 11,005, it would have rounded up to 11,010. So we need to first of all work out what the length of the side of the square is. And to do that, what we do is we get the 44v to the power 4 w to the power 5, and we just divide it by 4. And to do that, all we need to do is just divide the coefficient by 4. So it'd be 11v to the power 4 w to the power 5. Some people will try and do something with the v to the power 4 w to the power 5, but if you think about it, if I just draw out my square, if it's 11v to the power 4 w to the power 5 all the way around, when you add, you don't add the v to the power 4 w to the power 5. It's just going to be 11 lots, another 11 lot, another lot of 11, and another lot of 11. So it's 44 v to the power 4 w to the power 5 in total. And to work out what the area is, we obviously are going to square that. So we're going to do 11 v to the power 4 w to the power 5, and we're going to just times it by itself, which is what squaring means. Okay, so we're going to times the 11s together, so that's going to be 121. Going to times the v to the power 4s together, and remember with indices, if you times two powers of the same base, and they're both v, then we just add the powers together, so that'd be 8. And we're going to add the w to the power 5s together, so that makes 10. So it's 121 v to the power of 8, w to the power of 10. A box plot starts with the lowest value, then it goes to the lower quartile. So we have the lowest value, then the lower quartile, and then we have the medium, then the upper quartile, and then the highest value. So lowest value is at 1 on this one, and normally we just put a little kind of line at the end here. So we're going to put a line at 1, and I'm just going to put that line there. Ooh, a little bit further to the right. There we go. And our lower quartile is 9, which is kind of where the box starts. So we're just going to start a box there. We're just going to connect these up. There we go. And our median is 11, so we're just going to show that. Quite a thin box plot so far. Now it says the interquartile range is 5. Now the interquartile range is the distance here. So that's 5. So it's going to be 5 more than the lower quartile. If the lower quartile is at 9, it would be 9 plus 5, which will be 14. So if we get our line at 14, and then complete our box plot. Here we go. Now the range is the total distance of, or the total width of our box plot. So that's 17. So that's going to be 17 higher than the lowest value. Now the lowest value is 1, so 1 plus 17 is going to be 18. So I'm just going to, there we are. And we're going to have that at 18. And again, I'm just going to put a line there. I'm going to start by labeling this triangle. And so I'm going to pick a lowercase a here, uppercase A I mean, for the angle. And then we go opposite it to mark the length with a lowercase a. I'm going to do a capital B here, and then go opposite it to do a lowercase b, and then obviously a capital C here, and then a lowercase c here. Now notice the C's aren't involved in this question at all. It's just the capital A and the lowercase a and the capital B and the lowercase b. Now when you've got two pairs of angles and sides, you're going to be using the sine rule. Now, the sine rule is either sine A over A, or it's A over sine A. Now, when we're looking for a length, we put the length on the top. So it's going to be lowercase a over sine capital A equals lowercase b over sine capital B. Okay, so we're going to fill in the values. So A is x, capital A is 38, lowercase b is 4, and uppercase B is 67. Now you'll only ever sine an angle, so if you ever put a 4 in there or something, that's not going to be right straight away. Okay, let's work out what 4 over sine 67 is, and that's 4.345, blah blah blah. So we're going to solve this. It's going to be a nice easy solve today, because all we need to do is times both sides by sine 38. And so that will give us 2.675, blah blah blah. And when we round that, we get 2.68. Capture-Recapture is a way of estimating total population sizes, and it uses a really nice formula, which is n equals little n times little m over big N. Now, n and m, the little ones, are are sample sizes. Okay, so they're the size of each sample, and this big M here is the amount that were marked in the second sample. Okay, so n is the first sample, m is the second sample size, and then m is marked, so marked in the second sample, because obviously you're going to mark all of them in the first sample. So what you do is you catch an amount of a trout in this case, mark them all with any kind of marking, and then you capture again, and capital M is the amount that were marked from the first sample in your second sample, and then capital N is the estimated population size. So that's what you think the overall population size is going to be. So here we caught a sample of 84 and tagged them all, and then we released them. Then we caught a sample of 56, and we found that 15 were tagged. And so when you do the sums on that, it's going to be 313.6. And when you round it to the nearest integer, because obviously you can't get 0.6 of a trout, we estimate it to be 314. The first thing to notice is we actually have two radii here. So we've got this radius here and this radius here, and all radii are always equal in length. So we have an isosceles triangle here. So this angle here is going to be 19x as well, and we've got to write that down. So we're going to say angle OBA is equal to 19x, and the reason is it's an isosceles triangle. Okay, so we know these two are equal. Well, we also can work out x because, as I said before, we have a triangle here, and all angles in a triangle add up to 180. So we've got 7x plus 19x plus 19x equals 180 degrees. And this is angles in a triangle. Try and draw a better triangle, equal 180 degrees. Try and write out these reasons in full. Okay, so that's going to be, was it 45x equals 180, and let's get our solving lines in. And we're just going to divide both sides by 45. Okay, so we've got x equals 180 divided by 45, which is 4. Now, we're looking for this angle here. That's angle ABC. Now, there's a few different ways we could do this. We could work out what this angle is because it's a big triangle, etc., etc. Or we can use the fact that we've got a tangent touching a radius. So we know that this, let's just pick a different colour, this angle here is 90 degrees. So we can write that down. So angle OBC equals 90 degrees because it's the angle between a tangent and a radius. Again, make sure you write all the reasons in full. And so therefore angle ABC, which is what we're asked for, it's just 90 take away the 19x. Well, we know that 19x is 19 times 4, because we know that x is 4. And so that would be 76, so in total it would be 14 degrees. So angle ABC is 14 degrees. It's always important with these questions to realise what the normal graph will look like before we have a look at what the new function will look like. So it's always good to remind yourself what a y equals sine x graph looks like, and it fluctuates between 1 and minus 1, if I write a minus 1, and it goes up first of all at 90, goes back down at 180, down to minus 1 at 270, and then back up at 360. So it's just a simple sketch to help us figure out what's going on with the transformed one. So first thing I notice is there is a negative here, which just means it will be flipped in the x-axis. So this would become like this. And there's also a 2 there, so we're multiplying all the y coordinates by 2. So instead of this going down to minus 1, it will start by going down to minus 2, and it will go up all the way to 2. So we've got a nice idea of how this will look. And so we're going to just start plotting this now, I think. So it will go down at 90, which is, so there, to minus 2, back up to 180 at 0, and then back up to 2 at 270, down to 360, and then it will just go again, 540, up there, and then back down. Not the best graph I've ever drawn, but I think the examiner will understand that I know what the graph will look like, so don't panic about making too many mistakes when you're drawing curves. Just try your best to get it as low as possible, but don't go back and start feathering the lines or anything. To find the inverse, we're going to first of all, instead of writing f of x, I'm just going to replace it with a y. And the trick of finding the inverse is to swap over the x and the y. So we're going to swap them over. I'm just going to do it over to the right hand side over here, so we've got a bit of space. Now the challenge is to get it so that it's y equals rather than x equals. So we're going to start off by multiplying both sides by 4. And that will give us 4x on the left hand side, and it will get rid of the fraction on the right hand side, which was kind of the point. Next we're going to get rid of that minus 6, so we're going to add 6 both sides. And then finally we're going to get rid of that times 5 there by dividing both sides by 5. So we've got 4x plus 6 over 5 equals y. And we use y as a replacement for the inverse function of x. And so we're just going to say the inverse function of x, which is what that minus 1 means. It means inverse, equals 4x plus 6 over 5. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.